Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake Chats 2017. I've been having a leisurely and really beautiful morning in contemplation and reflection and information. And as the thinking and the activities concluded, I was struck with the importance of coming and sharing what I've learned. And as I sat down to begin, I realized I was trembling. So I think that it's probably a good idea to just express as I was expressing and share with you a little bit. I got this mug from our dear friends, and they bought it for me for Christmas. And they did it because I'm such a freaking pushover. Oh, pushover deluxe. Because I happen to believe my son has common sense, even when he sometimes doesn't. See the mug? Put your balls in it, Kathy. Come on, get rough. I try. I try to have sense. I try to be compassionate. And I try to remember I'm in this for the long haul. And that this child is responsible for his behavior. But all behavior is purposeful and meaningful. So, and life is for learning. And that's how we roll around here. So, but I am the fucking boss. But what I realize is that really, although I'm resistant to it, and because I had a bit of a martyr complex, I really am a bit of I'm a disorganized, but very, very good mom. And it was a long time in coming to that one, because I was hypercritical of myself. I thought I was doing everything wrong. And the only thing that would really get Sam mad is when I would apologize for how I had been a mom. And I realized when my dad does it, I get so PO'd. And I said, will you please stop that? Will you please just take yourself off that hook? Will you take one look at me? Do you understand what you created? Will you just let yourself off the hook? You did fine. Everything worked out great. So I mean, I don't understand why you would be still raking yourself over the coals about something that happened when I was 12. I mean, here I am. And I'm sitting here loving you. So you can let it go. If you want to keep punishing yourself, go right ahead. I mean, I can't stop you. But you don't have to. I think I turned out just fine. And I think if you really open your eyes and see how functional and beautiful and wonderful I am, you could sleep pretty good at night. And you wouldn't feel so bad every day. Because you did okay, don't you think? Come on now. Come on. And it was like, oh. It's like apply, rinse, repeat, but it's when you've done that your whole life, you beat yourself up your whole life, well, you might need a booster. That's fine. But I really think that's it's worked for me, because I've done some really outrageously stupid things. Highly unwise, very ill-advised, really dumb, and self-injurious. And obviously, it could be seen as injurious to others. And so, it made sense at the time. And I learned a lot from it. And I think the only real sin is not the commission of a naughty, is not freaking learning from it, is not doing something really perverted or twisty or wrong. You just know it's wrong. And then what do? You do it again? Oh, well, there you go. That's the problem. It's like, that's a really bad feeling. And that tells me something is really wrong. And I need to address something. That's how I roll. So I'm really not. I don't understand choosing to re-traumatize myself. And so I sometimes choose to do that with people too. I mean, if I can. And if there was rank harm, then bye. If you do it once, you're going to do it again. See how that works? If you have given yourself in your soul permission to do that, whatever awful thing it is that I think is nasty, don't you have a list of things that are just, no, I think not. And mine are like lying, deceit, withholding of the truth or reality. And I realized, oh, okay, well, I'm a sharer. Oh. Yeah, and it's really true. I mean, when I have, I give, because I like that. And I find I always have. And I really am sad when I don't give. I want to give more. But I realized that might be part of the thing, is that I don't think it's about giving. I think it's about sharing. I think giving implies a lot of things, like having resources and taking from your resources and parceling them out and giving. I don't know. I like sharing, because that implies that the stocks are full, and it's done with it's implied that it's done with love and with happiness. So I like that better. And so I think that I've kind of stumbled on a thing there. A thing there, but it, like how to socialize and how to, because Brian said, there's going to come a time when people just don't date anymore, or they go about things differently, and you just don't go through heartache after heartache after heartache, and assault after assault after assault. How? Well, isn't that the question? Aren't there industries been built on that question? And I think it has to do with this. This is what I got. I'm really beginning to realize that every single person on this planet has, or is this big thing that's connected like a pipeline to, ever so much more. Ever so much more. And either they know about it or they don't. It's fine if you don't. Most people don't. They don't believe it. Yeah, most people, believe in angels. But this is bigger, because it implies that you are the angel. But here you are, doing nasty things to people, doing nasty things to yourself, thinking nasty thoughts, being petty, being hoarding, and not being being withholding, being scared. You get it? So I realized that, part of, and my sister would talk about this too, how you'd really just be really adore somebody, but it just doesn't work out in the physical. And why? What's that about? And I think that might be it. That, if you can sense this bigger thing, awesome. But then, everybody has their way of expressing their bigger thing. Look at me. I have a very unique expression. And everybody has an expression. So I think that kind of is like, okay, well, that's really cool to know. And so it's easier to take the degree of whatever people are going through and to just, be there for them. And maybe even be a little more present in people's lives, you think? I get really busy. And I'm not a very good friend in many ways. I love people from afar, but I stay loosely connected to people. And that bothers me. I'm happy, but it bothers me sometimes. But I want to say that part of this comes from having met the lovelies. When we gathered solstice of, I think it was, summer solstice of 2014. I was in the company of 4 other women. And for the first time in my life, I didn't have to be afraid. All weekend long, I was accepted. All weekend long, I wasn't criticized. All weekend long, I was met. And it changed me. Each of those women have metaphysical gifts. They're goddesses. And in their presence, I realized I was too. And we'd always been that way. And we thought the same. We knew the same information. We augmented each other's databases. But our operating systems were the same. And I had never encountered that before. To go from getting this information in a little attic from a disembodied entity called the teachers, and letting my life bloom into synchronicity and miracles itself in the 90s. And then be here in the middle of it again, self-sustained. It's amazing. And it's the story of this little modest life. And now I see everyone is this. But they take on roles, they take on identities, they take on biological coding, they take on assumptions, they take on complete systems of beliefs about themselves that are false. They're not sturdy. They're based in victimization, bullying, the negotiating of free will, the withholding of information and love, the bartering for power over domination. And a lot of people get off on it. A lot of people sexualize it. And it's really hot, too. I mean, in that headspace, it can be really hot. But it's an alternate reality. Because I see that there's this bigger reality where everyone is their own soul. They have their own signature. They have their own history, of course, and their own interpretation. But their personality is just a pinprick to the bigger reality. And we're all working together. And we all love each other very much. And that's nothing to be ashamed of, or to be afraid of, or to hide. That's something to explore and to celebrate. So, it is a different way of living. And at Be With the Lovelies, I realized, they all managed quite nicely, thank you very much. And I've walked around, limping, unsupported, and misunderstood. Well, okay, whose fault is that? So that was my story. Get a hit of light, figure it out. Get a hit of light, explain it. So, there you go. Isn't that interesting? La la la. So I guess it does mean that I value my preferences. Really, when it comes to it, I can contain many extremes. I've been straight, I've been gay, I've been a fundamentalist, I've been an ascensionist. I've never been Republican. I've never really been a Democrat. I've never really been an American. I mean, yeah, that's what my birth certificate says, but it's just arbitrary. It's just consciousness groups. So yeah, okay, I'm an American. I think we're all a little embarrassed about that at this point. As well we should be. Yeah, we got some cleaning up to do, don't we? We are really in a pickle here. But it's just almost laughable how extreme it is. And that's the whole point. The time of extremes. And it gets to the point where, just like when you break yourself of catastrophizing, all right, what if that happens? All right, what if that happens? All right, what if that happens? And you just march it out. You play out the probabilities of what happens if you do X, Y, and Z. And I used to do that just to kind of decide what I would do, so I would be right, or I would be more correct, or the most moral, or the most clean, and I'd really kind of have to, and now it's more of just like I flow. So I think that's living in the soul, and you can call it ascension, or you can call it whatever you want, but of just recognizing the reality and the totality of each individual soul. And that allows for a certain amount of just innate respect for people. It doesn't mean I don't honk at people, but I'm beginning to rethink that. I did that for like 10 years. I refused to honk at people. It's like I refuse to yell in the situation. And I always, now anymore, when I always feel this burst of shame afterwards. Like, oh my God, what a hothead, what a dick. So I don't use it very often. I think it's very disruptive and rude. I wish that, I was thinking as I was driving to work a couple days ago, I really wish that why do they have to be so horrible? Why can't honks be ding dong? Why can't we have emoticons for our honks? Like, hey, you're kind of swell looking, whoo woo, or whatever. Oh, that would be bad, wouldn't it? I like your outfit. High five your look. I like that one. Let's figure out one that would be high five your look, whatever that is, because I would really like to have that. I really wish we had that in the slang, because I really dig people's looks sometimes, and so I try and what I like. Whoa, that's I wish I could find that at the bins. That's the kind of person I'll push on the shoulder and say, hey, I really like your bag. And what I'm really thinking is, okay, I can't wait till you donate that. Anyway, so it allows you to hold people a little bit harmless, I think. And yourself too, you think? Because isn't the point of, well, if you look at your behavior and go, ew, or you look at a situation and go, oh, yeah, that's not good. We shouldn't do that again. Well then, the next is up to you. And how aversive do you need how aversive do you need your stimuli for you to knock off things that aren't in your best interest? Well, I've always kind of wondered that. Is that an appropriate approach? Is that a mentally healthy thing to be thinking? And I really do think that it's much better to think like, things are the way they're supposed to be, and everything's under control. And what I put off, I got to do later, and it's a signal that I'm just not very physical. And sometimes I've had an injury that is far more energetic than it is physical. And when you take a hit, you need some time. And there's been a couple of direct hits. Excuse me. So we're taking our time. And we're disorganized, and we're all being very nice to each other. So, whatever. We're not going to forget the basics when we go to Apo. Like flashlights and toilet paper and baby wipes and, junk like that. Mama's making a care kit for everybody. But, none of us are connected with food. None of it, it's like, well, okay. I mean, Sonny and me and Sam, our other friend Randy, he listed a long list of things that he likes. So that's good. He's going to be cooking a lot. We'll be, we've all, the three of us have agreed, one hot thing a day, and, a lot of water and stuff, but none of us are too interested in food. So, a lot of fruit. And that's pretty much how we all eat now. My son just went through that transition, and his gut just made the change. And Sonny's like that, and I'm like that. And if I would get off my ass, I'd prefer to have a smoothie every day, just for the protein, because I would like to eat live things. It's my thing. It feels good. I don't like veggies too much. I really like some though. They're like candy. Num num num. So those are eating habits have changed extremely, as has my body shape. I mean, golly. I mean, it's really weird how that ghost remains. And then I go to the bins and I pull something out and I think it might fit, and I get it home. It's like, it's a medium. What? WTF? Holy moly! This is real. I have to be reminded again and again. So good, keep the reminders up, because the body shape doesn't change. It's actually changing, but it's getting smaller. I made an agreement a while ago, and it just is one of those things that to lose weight, I'd prefer to fast, and that's it's demanding work. So I don't fast to lose weight. I fast because I go into an energetic area that requires fasting, and or radically changing my diet, and so I oblige. And I've had a quarrel with food for all my life, and I don't anymore. It's my friend. And it's not an unusual thing for me to eat chocolate, but I really am in total agreement with my body. I love it. I love my body in every way. It's super great, even though it hurts. I still love it very much. So these are just things that sort of I've always been, but it's nice to just put them all in one little area. So now it's really, I really have made it very plain. I really feel like I'm in a place where I really don't want to take on any more contracts. I'm not really interested in doing any more heavy lifting with people, meaning that, it's everybody gets to do their own work, and I'm in a place of support and kindness and, gentleness. And finding out how I can support and be of service, while still, maintaining my source and communication with something bigger and my happinesses. I think that sounds pretty good. And so it's nice to have this clarity, because then everyone is free to do what they're going to do. I can really totally love everybody, regardless of expression, and see the expression as, choice of expression, preference. You can have anything in the world. Anything. You can live anywhere. I mean, theoretically. And theoretically, and then as death approaches, as illness approaches, as whatever happens, there are sometimes limitations. And they're always going to be, like, if you got to think, there are limitations to a hand, It can do a lot of things, but it's a hand. So you have this one life with these circumstances, but you can always change the circumstances. That is a heartbeat away, always. And change is the only thing really that is unchangeable. So to think you're stuck is incorrect. It's incorrect. That's a trick. Because you are this big, huge angel. And you're in misunderstanding of something. You're not seeing big enough. And probably not being nice enough to yourself. Usually. Or, there are times when you're just not being honest. And you're not fessing up to something that really is in no one's interests. And that you really could be doing better by people. And you have an aha moment. And you change your ways. But there's backsliding, But there's always, you can always change. But most people don't, because they're afraid of what people are going to do. And what they're going to lose. Okay. Enjoy that then. That's great. That's status quo. And that's really what's breaking apart. It's, oh, don't mind this. Well, funny. I can't help but notice that the lights are on. What are you going to do about that? And I was there for a long time. And sort of trying to figure out how I was going to maneuver socially. The lights are on. And it's easier for me to pick up on things. How am I going to respond to that? Am I going to bring to people's attention what I see? Is it going to give me peace to know all this stuff? And how do I behave now? And I got that when I went to that singing circle, and I could see everybody's akashas, just like boom, it was right there. And they said, now the trick is to figure out how to walk with this. And that's really what this has been about, is how do you manage it? Because my lovely friends, each of them have very, very highly functional lives. And I do too. It's just a different kind of life. I'm more fringy. And more of an artist than not. So more of an expressionist, I guess, in some ways. And a traditionalist in many ways. But not a cultural tradition, just a sort of an ancient tradition. But it kind of makes me an old fogey sometimes, and always has since I was a kid. And I think that's what people pick up on when they say I'm an old soul. Because there are just certain places I won't go, and certain things I just won't say, and certain things I just would, are very, very attracted to a lot of people, and no. And then other things that I go, ooh, isn't that interesting? And they're fringy. And I've been very traditional in my nursing practice, but that's nearing its end, and so the fringe can come out more. Yay! And I think that's really been the major battle of thinking that nursing and writing were an either-or thing, because I knew down deep that it really did mean a change in everything. Because to me, a writer is a magician and a shaman with a pen, and they create worlds, and they are magnificent creatures, but they require a certain lifestyle, or a certain, they require, I don't know. It's okay to be different. And it doesn't matter if you're an artist or not. You can just be an eccentric. It's okay to be different. And that's something that I value. And so, I don't know, I think that it's okay to just be yourself and not be seen as weird. And that's kind of a final crescendo of la la. And that's a long time in coming, of not seeing this as abnormal, but instead, highly functional, but esoteric, and not everyone's cup of tea, but highly coherent, and collated with a lot of great thinkers of our time. I don't stand alone in my philosophy or my approach or my knowledge of, or awareness of what is to come and what can come, now that we have reached some real energetic swells that are carrying us. It's just all automatic. And if this is your thing, and as I outlined before, if you're a technician, so that's all. So anyway, I think it makes it easier for me to I don't like the thing of forgiveness. Forgiveness bothers me because it implies harm. So it's not really forgiveness, it's just like seeing things as they are and just not getting too troubled about it. Seeing people's limitations and seeing my own. And not seeing them maybe as limitations, but just as parameters. And that everybody has their stories. Everyone is their own sun. Everyone is their own solar angel. And it's really enjoyable to walk around knowing that. Not talking about it, but knowing it. It doesn't mean I'm not a bitch sometimes. I'm working on it. But, I guess I can be a bitch. I don't know. My son goes, "Oh my God, Mom." And I'm feeling this come out. So it's like, oh, I have something to work on. Ew, I can be a bitch. Ew, that's not okay. Sometimes the word grates on me so much I just can't stand it. But it's never okay to take it out on anybody else. And I'm not doing it maliciously. I'm doing it because I'm argumentative sometimes. I think that what they're doing is wrong. I tell them about it. Like when they search your bag at Waterworld, and I shame the young lady doing it. I think you can find a much more appropriate way to earn minimum wage than going through the bag of a middle-aged single mom, taking her son to a day at the pool. Do you really think this is a dignified way to make money? Oh, Mom. Well, that's a shit-ass thing to say to some stranger. And that's what I want to conclude with, because when you can get some information like that, all right, what's the requirement? What's the sharing requirement? Well, that would be 0. There is no requirement. And so then the intuition kicks in. What do you, if you care to, what might this person understand? And I am so shit-ass at that. I'm so bad at that. That's not my job. But I have to figure out where they're at. And then if they are, looking for advice, I'm happy to provide advice. But I'm not a shrink. But I often serve that purpose. Not ongoingly. I will not do that as a basis for friendship anymore. But I think sometimes friendship and relationship get so intense that you're just really working on issues. And that is kind of what I want to say, is that I kind of put in a referendum and said I don't want to do any more karma. What does that mean? Well, it means that when I see somebody and I see their big soul, and then I see their expression, if I'm really automatically closed to some of what they're doing, or like who they are, or like don't get a good feel, or I don't like that they're evasive, or whatever it is, it's just not, ooh, there's something, then it seems to me that in the vanilla straight world, that's what you put up with. I think that's the whole idea, right? That's all the wife and all the husband jokes. I think that's what that is. Instead of finding somebody that you're in agreement with. And I've always thought, as I've seen it play out in other people's lives, if you really hate your partner that much, why don't you do them the favor to let them go, so you can find somebody who actually appreciates them, because they're going to be seen as a god to somebody else if you just give them a chance. But instead, you keep at them and you beat them up because they're who they are. So why don't you just give it up? And I see that a lot. And I that's not love. That's working out your issues, your mommy and your daddy issues, with somebody else. And, putting them in a position of authority and then arguing with them. I see it so much. And it's just, wow. Whoa. And that's a world that I really got ejected from. I had literally almost lost my life a number of times, and was threatened more than once. And so, I'm on the other side of that, and I can see, okay, I can see the good in it. Fine. It's there's good in it. Okay, fine. Yeah. But wow, that makes a step back. This will never stand again, and it needs to be addressed. And it was good. And at the end of it, it's there's just certain things that I just don't tolerate, and I'm not interested in, and would never pursue. And others that look really good, and that are just really natural. So it's an evolution, and of moving away from argument and from pain and from all the things that go along with not being in agreement with people that you're in the room with. Oh my God, that gets old. So and so then I see the strife in the world, and I see all the arguing, and I see all the fits being pitched, and my own fits on Facebook about what's being said. It's just really a different reality, and one in which we all live. It's our 3D reality, but how we play it is, I think, at issue. And so for me to just, if I can be anything, go anywhere, think anything, then what's really going on here is walking into preference. How are preferences chosen? Based on identity, based on thoughts of self, based on knowledge of self, history, and just what you like. Where your heart goes, dum, 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 and you get real happy. So it's an innate thing. And this is a knowledge that really is poo-pooed by the medical community, by a lot of patriarchal, like legislative authorities. How you feel doesn't matter. Don't talk, don't trust, don't feel. So it's a skewed reality, and it's one that I think that a lot of consciousness is kind of groggily waking from. They're seeing the insanity of the Paris climate thing, and the seriousness with that 8 Mile crack that happened the same day. And it's really coming home that this is not merely, this is a global problem that we have, this Trump thing, this infection. And it needs to be dealt with, because it's a loaded gun, and it's pointed right at the populace. And so it's a very interesting time. And it's only one loaded gun. There's a degree of aggression and of a last stand nature, it seems. So I'm very pleased about that. Wild card time. All bets are off. And it's a stunningly beautiful time to be alive. And holding everyone harmless, seeing all behavior as meaningful, purposeful, letting people off the hook, including myself. These are things that lead to peace, but the real peace comes just from this innate thing I feel when I tap into these thoughts. And that's why I wanted to share them. I think that's why I was shaking. Ooh, I was shaking. But now I'm gonna get to work. It's a really big day. And I'm really glad that I invested like this, because I think this is beautiful. But now it's time to put my whatever, you know what I mean. I gotta get cracking. I have a lot to do. And it's all happy. So, anyway, I hope the same can be true of you today. I hope that you're happy. I hope that you're working through your stuff. And I hope that these words helped you in some way feel calm and peaceful and loved. Because you are. And you're understood. It really gave me such peace when I realized how understood I was by what made me. And so forgiven. So forgiven. And so supported. And loved on. All the time loved on. And it's when these things become a reality and something that you walk with that it's really nice. So, anyway, I hope that you're having a happy day. Namaste.